Have fun with your $2 million paperweight. This is a story from my mom when she used to work for her dad's company. I'm not really sure whether this belongs here or malicious compliance, but whatever. On phone BTW, so sorry for bad formatting and stuff. The year is 2004. My grandfather on my mom's side was a physicist and had developed a way of making these machines that made silicon wafers that were used in making microchips. Back then it was breaking edge technology in the microchip field. My grandfather's company made the machines that made these wafers in a way that no other companies could. Anyway, my mom handles orders of these machines. She managed the company back then with my grandmother. One machine in particular was supposed to go to this one technology company based in Korea. They had purchased a machine that made one specific kind of chip. That machine was worth $2 million, so there was lots of communication obviously on the machine's exact specifications. Well, the communication director for the Korean company was this preppy little shitwell called SH. Shithead. SH gives my mom's company the exact specifications for the machine and a down payment of $500K or so to make the machine. So the company makes the machine and ships it to Korea with an engineer to set it up when they get there. At 3 o'clock in the morning, my mom gets a call from SH. In bad English, he basically tells my mom that we needed to include some feature with it that he claimed he asked for, but did not. Or he's not sending out the rest of the $1.5 million. My mom is confused at first, then asks to speak with his manager. He keeps saying no. So, then she asks if she's on speakerphone and if the engineer, Glenn, is in the room. The answer is yes to both. She then tells Glenn to put the machine to sleep and get on the next flight home. Putting the machine to sleep basically makes it inert, as you may have guessed. Only our engineers could turn the machine back on again. She then asks if Glenn understood her and Glenn says yes. Then she hears some hushed talking. Glenn later tells her that another Korean guy was asking SH if SH knew what my mom said. SH did not. The other Korean guy tells SH and SH starts to yell at my mom. My mom hangs up. 20 minutes later the phone rings again. It's SH's manager. SH has been fired after the machine was put to sleep and Glenn left the building. Glenn was almost at the airport when my mom called him, explained and told him to go back. The $1.5 million was released and all ended well. Except for SH. Anyway, sorry if this doesn't exactly fit the parameters for ProRevenge. I just recently discovered this sub. Now to the comments. I'm in the same kind of situation, $1 million machines with highly detailed technical specifications. I've had customer try to throw me under the bus in front of their management for missing an obvious critical need in the system. I once got a call from a CFO saying he was stopping all payment on our machine, violating the terms, because it didn't have XYZ feature as clearly specified. A quick email was sent showing him the documents that they signed off on, showing they never asked for it, and acknowledged the machine was exactly as delivered. A day of silence passed, and a wire transfer was made with no notice. I call later to talk to said engineer about finalizing the startup and I get I'm off the project talk to blah blah blah. Hey, people duck up, I get it. But don't try to blatantly deceive your higher-ups because you forgot something and then try to pin it on vendor who just so happens to be very detail-oriented and buttoned down. In the end we fixed it for a fair amount, and if he would have just got out front, he could have spun it much different in front of his team. Yep, documentation saves asses. It really does. Always have a paper trail. None of this stopped me in the hallway or phone call nonsense. My 2 cents, I'd call this ProRevenge for 2 important reasons. First, the amount of money involved. If your revenge involves millions of dollars, it's not amateur or petty. That's for sure. The second reason is how fast your mother reacted. It was an instant revenge, and that takes both brain and guts. I'd also like to add that she maintained a professional attitude to her clients, by your story, and kept her cool. Both your mother and her revenge were pros, in my opinion. I'd also like to add that she maintained a professional attitude to her clients, and kept her cool, having been woken up at 3 a.m. at that. Know a guy who runs multiple business ventures. One was building shifting, extraction machines for mining. One SH orders a machine, and as per usual, these machines are leased and the client pays a set amount per ton that gets processed. Machine gets built as shipped with an agreed upon amount of, let's say, $150 per ton. It costs over $5,000 to ship it. Machine arrives and SH phones up and says, "Hey, we were thinking that $150 PT is too much, would you settle for $80? Knowing it cost them a pretty penny to get it there. SH was gambling on the supplier having sunk the delivery costs already and that they would rather take a lower rate than forego the contract. SH was wrong. They loaded up the machine and basically paid another $5,000 to ship it back. The owner told SH that he didn't like getting ducked around and would rather write of $10,000 than deal with him. So SH contracts other suppliers to get another machine. Each and every one quotes $250 PT, citing his dealing in bad faith with the original supplier. He's been blacklisted. At this point SH is hemorrhaging capital as the machine is a critical part of the process. He's forced to go begging back to the original supplier and has to settle for $180 PT deal, and paying $15,000 upfront for the wasted logistics costs. It's great business to be friendly with the competition. If field is small and you are known in the field, people will listen when you share that your company had to deal with asshole and he tried to swindle you. Because someday your competitor will get swindled, so he will share his story back to you. Having worked in Korea, I can provide some insight. Korean companies, especially in 2004, are notoriously top-down and militaristic in culture. SH does not make any decision. He is simply the mouthpiece of higher-ups. It looks like his top management wanted X, Y, and Z and he unwittingly just provided X and Y. To try and cover his own ass when he realizes his error when the machine arrives, he tries to get the last feature without his bosses finding out his mistake. It would be safe to assume SH is a low-level employee who just happened to speak the best English at that company. In Korea, it is almost impossible to say no to a superior, and it's even worse to say you can't do a job. So SH is probably put in a position he has no experience or ability for. Korea is a pretty awesome place, but their work culture is still ass backwards. True, I can confirm. However, they do realize this despite the difficulty to make an absolute cultural and organizational change. It's why I was hired to be a consultant at a Daewoo plant and why my boy has been an expat employee on a fat package for Samsung on Seoul for 7 years. They want and give more freedom to expats, foreigners, to try to combat this and to be the opposite of yes men. Fun stuff. I am actually visiting my friend in Seoul now and we discussed this very issue over soju and grilled pork belly today. This reminds me why Korean Air starts to hire foreign pilots after they had fatal accidents due to the co-pilot fearing their captains even when they know their captains are wrong. Many foreign pilots are encouraged to challenge their commanders and this resulted in many incidents/accidents being avoided. Source: a few senior pilots who told me this story. One of them worked for the airline for a couple of years. He wasn't liked the most as he is quite vocal about his displeasure of the ways some captains do their job. Only $2 million? Samsung got one hell of a deal. Went on a group tour of a local plant a few years ago. Just one of those wafers, filled with microchips, is worth $600,000, easily. Or, as the tour guide said, if you drop one, the owner of Samsung will know your name. Not in a good way. Your grandfather is brilliant. I'm not saying you're wrong because edge cases exist, but the most expensive wafer major foundry, make is about $60,000, and that's far and away our most expensive product. You might have meant a FOUP/cassette full of wafers, as they usually hold 25. You know, thinking back on it, I believe it was a reticle that was mentioned. I think you are spot on, in that if a whole container is destroyed, very fragile, the shit hits the fan. Sorry about that. Your mom cost some corporate cunt his job. That's pretty pro-revenge in my books. I bet he didn't actually get fired. Most companies claim to fire an employee to reconcile the situation, but have no plans to do so. This situation is the reason why it worked. As I understood the story, his firing didn't influence the decision to turn the machine back on. It was the agreement of the manager to release the rest of the payment.